for Wigan Athletic, 4 goals in 20 and 124 appearances. This is cool. It's always cool because I'll show our next guest where things are laid out when it comes to the office here. But when we get the chance to talk about Duluth FC, we have these unique crossovers. And it's always fun to catch up with this particular crossover because he's a globetrotter. He's a world traveler. And he's kind of won some things. And so when we had the chance to talk Duluth FC, here's how this worked out yesterday. I saw that Duluth FC had made the playoffs in the NPSL. And I'm like, ooh, idea. And so I fire off an email, not knowing where on the planet this particular individual is. And he's like, oh, I'm at home. Yeah, come and crash. And so we bring in mogul John Shuster. What's going on, dude? It's been too long. Welcome back.
Mogul. I don't know about mogul. That's being awfully generous. Good to see you, man.
All right. So here now, once again, full disclosure, this is always here, right here with the office, right there. It's always off of my shoulder. And I always have the Duluth FC scarf right there. And then I'm going to extend my cord here. And the other part of our equation that you graciously sent to Office HD is in here. And I don't know if that looks familiar to you or not. The Team USA scarf. That is here in the back as well. So you are well represented, my friend, when it comes to Office HD and everything that goes on here with SDH. How are you?
Oh, it's I'm good. Life's a whirlwind, man.
Oh,
my kids are crazy into sports, so yeah.
Well, and I mean, when you have to balance your professional life with your mogul and training life and Duluth FC, and what's it been like to see Duluth make the playoffs with all of the chaos that's going on in the life of John Shuster these days?
It's pretty special because last year, and I was on the show kind of at the beginning, but we won the North Conference regular season and had an undefeated season, and we're ranked, I think, points per game #1 in the country heading into the playoffs. And so, and then we had the most chaotic second round game playing against our to win the North playoffs. I mean, 18 cards, and we had 3 guys sent off with red, and we still almost won that bad boy. But we had a lot of our players who felt, like there was unfinished business, and we got a big core of our team back this year. And this year didn't go quite as smoothly through the regular season. We definitely had some hiccups along the way. But just like any good team, adversity only builds character, and our team came and had put a game plan together to beat a Dakota Fusion team who also had played this entire season, unbeaten. I think we drew with them one time and they had 2 other draws, but and we went in there and got a 1-0 win, and off to Des Moines we go tomorrow.
What's it been like for you to see Duluth FC continue to build and grow and be the presence there in the community that it is?
Yeah, it's been incredible, to be honest, because, up here in the North in soccer, it's the Minnesota United, and then you get down a little and you got, Fighting Kansas City. And I think there's a lot of very there's a lot of highest level soccer fandom, but, when we're playing around the NPSL North, other clubs are looking, they're hoping to get 100 people at games, maybe a couple hundred people. And this year, I think at our last 2 games, we had 830 and 820. So to see that growth and that amount of excitement around the sport of soccer up here, which we've, never seen, and to see that then extending to youth levels. Last year, my wife and some parents and coaches started our travel program within our community, which we have 35,000 people, and we had 3 teams and 39 kids. And this year we had 9 teams and 140 kids. And in our fall program, we have like 260 playing. So, to see, and a lot of that has to do with UWS soccer, which is a Division III mainstay up here, and for Duluth FC to then, our guys are being very much members of the community, doing a lot of, helping out with coaching with our youth programs, not just with Superior, but our other youth programs. And I think that's allowed, them to be embraced and bringing people to games. And when people come to a game, I don't think they're expecting to see what they see. And, the NPSL, the level of soccer is no joke there. And there are guys, that can play. You put them on a pitch with an MLS club, and the MLS club might have the ball a lot of the time, but it's not going to be as lopsided as people would expect.
What have you learned about yourself as someone who might follow the sport of soccer a little more, obviously with Minnesota United, and so we need to get you to. I forgot to bring you in for the Minnesota United preview this year. When it comes to
how'd that game go? I forget.
Of course you did. Yeah, I wonder.
There's one of my soccer players.
There it is. Who's this?
This is Logan. This guy right here has the biggest 8-year-old foot probably in northern Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had a few goals this year, didn't you, buddy?
I only had like 20.
I only had like 20, he said. Okay, get out of here. He actually, this kid, I kid you not, had 3 Olympicos this year.
Seriously?
As an 8-year-old. And his last one was a left footer in swinger. He's not a left footer.
Nothing wrong with being a left
Sign
footer.
him up. Yeah. Sign him up.
That's tremendous.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What have you learned about yourself as both an athlete and as an owner and an investor in something like this? As something that grows, I know we talk about terrible twos and wanting to avoid those kinds of things, whether we're talking about family or, business. But what have you been able to learn about yourself with all this?
I think I've kind of learned, and it's reinforced the importance of your surrounding cast. And that's the one thing coming in here. All right, Logan, buddy. Yeah. After I'm off 20 minutes, buddy. And I'm making pancakes. That's the balance thing. And that's the living at home, working at home, and coming on a podcast at 9 when we eat breakfast. It's all good. But really it's having a great supporting cast. And that's where curling teams are not that different from business entities. And that's where, when I go out and speak to businesses, sometimes I feel like a fraud because, I'm 41 years old and the extent of my working life was, a year in restaurant management. And now it's, being a owner of a tier 1 or tier 2 soccer team. But having those pieces in place and making sure people have defined roles, that's where we get our 800 fans at games and we turn our stadium, which is a high school football stadium, into Duluth FC's home stadium. And if you look at, the aesthetics is that the scoreboard has, a giant sponsor logo of Aspire St. Luke's on it, along with Duluth FC logos. And we have Duluth FC flags, and you walk in there and you feel like you're walking into our own stadium. And to set up that stadium at the beginning was, the first game here, I was like, oh my gosh, what's this going to take? But, you have the right staff in there. And I feel like the last 3 or 4 home games this year, it was like a 25-minute process where you think it should be a 2-hour process to turn it into your own. So, having those pieces and having those important pieces. We have a coach who's, if he didn't love our community and our town, I imagine could go much, much higher in soccer coaching because what he gets out of players and the way he builds teams. So yeah, it's really just reinforced that your supporting cast and defined roles within that cast and holding people accountable to those things can lead to, smoothness and success. And, I try nothing other than, I tell, I have 3 players living at my house because we're a host family as well for our players because they all get host families.
Yeah.
And my goal being for these guys coming in here and our coach's goal for these guys coming in here is to give them a summer to focus completely on soccer and not have another care in the world. We don't want to have them worry about, how they're going to buy their next meal or, how they're going to get to the game. We have, between people using cars and guys bringing cars, and we arrange it so they can come here and focus on soccer. And I think it's that singular focus on soccer where we've had players that have gotten extreme development in the game.
What's it like billeting your players? Because, I would imagine that power bill, food bill, laundry, those are all adventures that you get to fill out this time of year. What's it like being a host?
Yeah, I don't. I try not to look at that too much. I don't think it's the one thing that we don't have is these guys also. I mean, we have had some players that consume an incredible amount of food. The guys that I have right now, kind of. But I think the biggest balance is trying to help them figure out how to be men. Because a lot of these guys are, and I remember being in college life, and so it's like you look back at the sink of the dishwasher and being like, hey, all right, like we're men and professionals, and these are the things that we got to do. And but it's also it's so rewarding for seeing them kick the soccer ball around in the side yard with the kids. And one of our players living with us is kind of interning as our director of coaching for our soccer, and so he's in there and building plans and helping us as an organization too. So it's it really has been an incredible process, and I've I have a few from past years of people that we billeted some incredible, I would call them success stories, how we have become part of their story. Oh my gosh, there's my dog going in the background here. That must mean my players are home.
Oh, that's awesome. Shusty's joining
real life, John, real life.
Nothing wrong with that, brother. Shusty's joining us from his home in Duluth, Minnesota. And we're discussing everything from curling.
Players, there he is right here.
There it is. Who's that?
Are you live?
I'm live right now on the radio in Atlanta. All right, boys.
Hello, Atlanta.
So that means silence a little bit. Good morning, Atlanta, he's saying so.
Hey, good morning, Duluth.
These guys, hey, they're on, they're national now.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you got players.
Actually, so that's
yeah.
That's actually kind of the crazy thing that's happening right now is that with this playoff thing we got going on is that we're going to Des Moines today. The game's tomorrow. If we win that game, we got to be in Pittsburgh on Saturday. So to make that financially feasible, so like the last couple of days for me, it's been like trying to figure out. My goodness, they're loud back there.
Breaking stuff
for me, it's really been trying to figure out like how to make it where we can not be coming straight off of a bus, straight off of a plane, trying to play a playoff soccer game, and then to also make it where we're not going to put our club into financial peril. So it's like that balance. And so I've spent the last, since we won on Saturday night, trying to figure out how to make that work, which is the life of a lower level soccer team.
The life and level of a mogul in training. John Shuster hanging out with us this morning. So
I do that too once in a while.
Well, and so then let me ask, how many hours did you spend at a desk in your office away from the kitchen and the traffic and the dogs and the billets to try to figure out, okay, if we do this, if we do this, how much of a challenge is it for you to sit down to make ends meet to where you're not spending Duluth FC into a hole you can't get out of?
Yeah, no, it's I probably in the last 2 days probably have 6 or 8 hours kind of into that. And it's funny that you think I have a desk in an office. But yeah. But the one thing that I do have going for me is that I've done so much of my own travel booking that I could probably go to a travel agency and do whatever kind of test it is. I could be a travel agent. So but as far as like finding like, okay, like what hotels, like look at distance and cost analysis and all that kind of stuff too. So, I probably spent 6 or 8 hours. And actually after I get off this thing today, I got to call our bus company that we partner with and talk about the options as to whether we're going to go to Des Moines and have them, when we win, drop us off in Minneapolis and we're going to fly from Minneapolis to Pittsburgh, or if we're going to take the bus and go straight from Des Moines over to Pittsburgh and then come back on Sunday with the same bus. So we got to kind of do that.
Wow, man.
As that happens too. So yeah, that's my next move. Is I got a little bit more work left, even though these guys leave at 5 o'clock today.
Wow. When you get to have meetings with the players, how much wisdom do you impart with them, or do you leave that to the coaches, or do they come to you and sit there and go, I know you've been in big situations before where you're representing your country and things like that. Do you get to have individual conversations? Do they come to you and want to pick your brain about how to handle big situations?
I don't force probably my knowledge upon necessarily anybody, but I have recognized, over the last couple of years, if, for instance, this last game we had a player, actually one of them living with us, that has kind of had what seemed to be kind of a major injury and got back to the point where he could, train and maybe contribute, but definitely wasn't going to be able to play 90 minutes for us. But he has a skill set that nobody else on our team has.
Right.
And the coach had to have a call with another player on our team who deserved worked his butt off all year, contributed all year, but he was going to find himself outside of the 18 at our conference championship game, and he had to make that phone call. And he called me and said, "Hey, just so you know, like I have this phone call to make, and I'm not looking forward to it." And for me, being able to be a sounding board for our coach when difficult decisions, like our curling team this last year had a 5-man team, and our guy who was our alternate on our team was just too valuable to keep off of the ice. And we had to have those conversations within our team to, people that didn't necessarily do anything wrong. They did everything right. And you have to, make those personnel decisions to give yourself, yourself and your team the best chance to succeed. And I just kind of had to, I didn't have to, but he asked, just for me, to be a sounding board for a few minutes to, give him the courage and the whatever to make that phone call. And he, let me know it was going to be one of the toughest phone calls he made in his life. And, even for me to, go see the player, which I haven't yet, but, to thank him for the work. Because, the reason why our team's so successful is the effort that these guys put in every morning at training, because we train every single day, which is kind of sometimes a little bit different from a lot of other NPSL clubs where we're very, very professional. And yeah, so those are the things where I've now found that I'm being brought into a little bit more than I ever, was as just a host family, where I have that, connection and with all of the players, but then also can be a sounding board for our coach. I have nothing to do with personnel decisions or tactics or anything like that. But I have found that, if I do see something, even though I've never played a game of soccer in my life, other than the parents versus kids game last Monday that I played against my 11-year-old team, that I do actually, see the game in a way that's, somewhat valid to reaffirm, what a coach or somebody else has seen.
Multiple medal winner, gold medal winner, John Shuster hanging out with us. Shusty on the gram, the IG, or the Insta, whatever the kids call it these days. And it's Shusty 2010 on the 280 character app. I'd be remiss if I didn't get a curling update with, I know it might be a little difficult to curl right now because you'd be curling on water, which would make things a little difficult. But what's the latest with you in curling? What's the schedule, and when are you globetrotting?
Yeah, it's starting August 26th. It's going to be a whirlwind. If that might even be an understatement. I think I'm home for an average of like 12 days a month from August through December. So,
oh, wow.
But yeah, so we're actually going to Oslo, Norway to start our season this year. We actually used to usually have a camp like early August and then play maybe late August or beginning of September. And this year we kind of decided for our team to go over to Oslo and play in this tournament, but take a few extra days to kind of have a camp like leading into it over there. Yeah, so starts in Oslo, and then man, I'm trying to think if I could even do this in order. I think we go Oslo, Cornwall, Ontario, Okotoks, Alberta. I think then we head over to the Grand Slam in Prince Edward Island, and then I think we have Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and then we play in the Pan Pacific Championships, which is basically to figure out who the 5 teams between North America and the Pacific Rim are going to be going to the Worlds. Then we go back to another Grand Slam, I think, which is over in Alberta, which is where the Pan Pacifics are. And then I think another Grand Slam, which is up in St. John's, Newfoundland. And then I think the team's going to Japan. I might take that one off because at some point, yeah, different when you got, but yeah, then we have like the Duluth cash spiel, and then it's Christmas. So I got all that travel to look forward to before Christmas.
Well, but before all of that, Duluth FC travels to Des Moines to get into the playoffs, and you're taking on the number 2 seed.
No, we're in them. This is the regional semifinals, man.
It's the number 2 and the number 3 in the Midwest region. You're in the semifinal. You're the 3 seed going to Des Moines United to take on the 2 seed Des Moines United out of the Gateway. So you're leaving, 5 o'clock this afternoon?
I'm not. The team's leaving 5 o'clock this afternoon. I'm driving down tomorrow at noon. So, but yeah.
And how many of the members of the family are going with you?
I think it's just me and the wife because my kids both have baseball tomorrow night, and so my mom's going to come down here and shuttle them around. And myself and my wife and a couple other host people, and then actually our number 6 midfielder, who is this kid from Guatemala that if that kid doesn't get drafted when he's done with college and done with whatever, there's people don't watch soccer because he's an absolute dog. But his father actually traveled in from Guatemala to watch, and he's going to hop into our into the van and ride down there with us as well. So it should be kind of fun. I always really look forward to those, interactions with folks, especially people who are, tied to somebody close to us. And according to Andreas, his dad's English is like, just very, very basic. So I love trying to connect and having those challenging conversations with people of other speaking dialects and that kind of thing. So yeah, it should be a fun trip down there.
All right. So then, since you've teased us, let us know who this player is so we can all sit there and watch Duluth and go, okay, make that kid an offer and get him to a better place. Who are you talking about here?
His name is Andreas Solaris. And he's already been, kind of like picked out from like the Guatemalan national team. And he played at Christian Brothers down in Memphis. And he actually is transferring this year and for grad school and playing his final season at CSU Pueblo over in which is the 2-time runner-up to the Division II. So, which one of our center backs who played with us for the first half of this season and last season plays there as well. So, yeah, he's definitely somebody to watch, like moving into the future, because he's got a bright future ahead of him. So,
yep. So Duluth FC heading to Des Moines, number 3 versus number 2 in the regional semifinals. That is tomorrow. John Shuster, one of the busiest men on the planet.
No chance.
Oh, come on. Globetrotter.
I'm a stay-at-home dad, man, that does some, soccer ownership on the side. I'm good.
Dude, you're dealing with your family. You got to make sure that all of the youngins are in the right place at the right time. You've got to make sure that your team is in the right place at the right time. You got to make sure that the team is in the playoffs, that they're getting to Des Moines, that they're possibly getting to Pittsburgh, that you are, and you got your winter tour coming up where you might be home sometime between now and 2025. Nah, you're not busy at all, man. Come on.
Well, this is downtime. This is downtime. My wife is the busiest. I see. If my wife were to watch us and be like, "Yeah, you called him the busiest," no, she would be like, "Yeah, right, buddy." Look at my life and tell me he's busy.
Oh goodness! And he's busted out he's got the Peacock coffee mug and everything. He's ready to go.
Oh yeah, it's Olympic season. It's coming up, so.
No doubt. So he's making sure that everybody knows that the Peacock is the place to be, watching everything in Paris. But we're watching things going on in Des Moines tomorrow. It's great to catch up with you, my friend. It's been entirely too long. And just be safe, get down to Des Moines, have a great match. And then as the MLS season continues and we get closer to you globetrotting perhaps, we'll see if we can track you down and we'll talk about Minnesota United, anything else on your mind. And shoot, you want to come in and co-host, you can come in and co-host. It's all good.
Well, if we go out and put up a good performance and dominating performance tomorrow, I'm going to be begging to be back here on Friday.
Ain't no begging.
I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, it's a ritual. It is not. It's not superstition. It's ritual, because if you have success and then you win and then you continue playing, let's say Friday, you want to come in once again, 10 o'clock hour, you can do that.
All right. Well, we win Wednesday, and you can bank on me sending you an email and getting back in here on Friday.
You got it, brother. Be safe, and great to catch up with you. Great to see you. And as always, as you well know, once again, Duluth FC here in Office HD. As always, great to see you, my friend.
Thanks for having me on, John.